There's a question most people never say out loud, not because they don't feel it, but because admitting it feels like admitting something is wrong with them. The question is this: why does love feel dangerous to me? Not painful, not difficult, dangerous. You watch other people fall. You see it happen in front of you, the glances, the warmth, the quiet way two people lean toward each other like gravity is pulling them together. And you feel something in that moment, not happiness for them, not jealousy either. Something closer to grief, like you're watching something you were supposed to have, and somewhere along the way, a door closed inside you, and you don't know when it happened or why or how to open it again. Here's what I want you to know before we go any further. That closed door is not a flaw. It is not proof that you are broken or cold or incapable. It is a protection, a very intelligent, very exhausting protection. And today, we are going to understand exactly what it is protecting you from and what it has been quietly costing you. By the time this video ends, you will understand 3 things most people spend their entire lives never figuring out. First, why your fear of love has nothing to do with love itself and everything to do with something that happened long before any relationship began. Second, the specific psychological mechanism your mind built to keep you safe, and why it works so well that it eventually starts working against you. And third, the one shift in understanding that changes how you experience every relationship going forward. Not a technique, not a rule, a shift in how you see yourself. Stay with me, because what comes next is something most people only understand after years of confusion. You're going to understand it today. Everyone asks the wrong question about fear of love. They ask, what is wrong with me? But that question assumes the fear is a malfunction, a bug in the system. What if it isn't? What if your fear of love is actually evidence of something working exactly as it was designed? That is the question nobody thinks to ask. And the answer to it is going to reframe everything you thought you knew about yourself. But first, let me tell you about someone. Her name for this story is Maya. Maya was 29 years old and had never been in a relationship that lasted more than 4 months. Not because she couldn't attract people. She attracted them easily. The problem always came later, around the 3-month mark, when something would shift. The person she was dating would say something real, something vulnerable, something that meant they were beginning to trust her. And Maya would feel it, a warmth, a pull, a quiet excitement she hadn't expected. And then almost immediately something else, a kind of panic she couldn't name. She would start noticing their flaws, real ones, exaggerated ones, imagined ones. She would get irritable. She would pull back. And eventually, she would end things, always finding a reason that sounded logical. She told herself she just hadn't met the right person yet. But quietly, in the moments before sleep, she wondered if the problem was her. It wasn't a mystery either. Maya was doing something that millions of people do without ever realizing it. She had built entirely unconsciously what psychologists call a self-protective attachment pattern. And the moment love started to feel real, the moment it carried actual weight, she dismantled it. Not out of weakness, out of intelligence. Her nervous system had learned, years before Maya was ever old enough to understand it, that love and loss arrive together. That closeness means exposure. That the deeper you let someone in, the more damage they can do when they leave. So it built a system, a very effective, very exhausting system. And that system had a name. Psychologists who study attachment, the way humans form emotional bonds, have identified a pattern they call avoidant attachment. But I want to call it something simpler, something that captures what it actually feels like from the inside. I call it the emotional shield paradox. Here's how it works. At some point, usually early in life, sometimes in a previous relationship, sometimes both, your emotional nervous system experienced a specific kind of pain. Not just sadness, something more precise than that. The pain of needing someone and having that need go unmet. The pain of being close to someone and feeling unsafe. The pain of trusting and learning that trust has a cost. Your brain, which is fundamentally a prediction machine, took note. It ran a calculation. And the calculation went something like this. Closeness equals vulnerability. Vulnerability equals exposure. Exposure equals pain. Therefore, keep people at a manageable distance. Stay interested but not invested. Stay warm but not open. Stay present but always keep one hand on the exit. This is the shield, and it works brilliantly. It protects you from the specific pain it was built to prevent. But here's the paradox. The shield cannot distinguish between someone who will hurt you and someone who will not. It activates in response to closeness, not danger. It fires every time love starts to feel real, regardless of whether that love is safe. So the very thing you most want, a love that feels deep, secure, and mutual, is also the thing that triggers your most powerful defense. You don't push people away because you don't want love. You push them away because love to your nervous system feels indistinguishable from risk. Now here is something the psychology textbooks often leave out. The emotional shield paradox doesn't just affect how you behave in relationships. It shapes what you believe about yourself. Most people carrying this pattern develop a private story, one they would never say aloud, that goes something like this. If I really let someone see me, all of me, they would realize I am too much, or not enough, or both. And so the shield serves a second purpose, one that goes deeper than protecting you from loss. It protects you from the verdict. Because if you never fully let someone in, they can never fully reject you. The shield keeps the trial from ever happening. And the sentence, that private fear that you are somehow unlovable, never gets confirmed. This is why people with this pattern often feel a very specific kind of loneliness. Not the loneliness of being alone. The loneliness of being surrounded by people, even people who clearly care about them, and still feeling unreachable, like there is glass between them and everyone else. Does that feel familiar? If it does, stay with me. Because what comes next is the part that changes things. I want to take a moment to say something that I mean completely. What you have been doing, guarding yourself, keeping people at arm's length, dismantling relationships before they can disappoint you, is not weakness. It is one of the most sophisticated things the human mind knows how to do. Neuroscience tells us that the brain's primary job is not happiness, it is survival. And in the context of emotional survival, which is just as real as physical survival, your brain built an extraordinary defense system. Think about what that actually means. At some point in your life, something hurt you enough that your mind decided never again. And it built something to make sure of that. Not out of weakness, out of love for you. The shield was not a mistake. It was the right response to the information you had at the time. The problem is simply that the information has changed. You are not the same person who needed that protection. The people in your life now are not the same people who caused that pain. But the shield doesn't know that. It only knows how to do what it was built to do, which means the work is not about tearing the shield down. It's about teaching it that you are safe enough now to lower it. Here's the truth that most love psychology content never reaches. The fear of love is not really about love. It is about the story you carry about what you deserve. Because love, real love, the kind that is calm and steady and quietly sure of itself, does not ask you to be perfect. It does not ask you to be healed. It does not require you to arrive without history or wounds or complicated patterns. What love asks for is something far more terrifying than perfection. It asks you to be seen, not the version of you that is composed and managed and keeps a careful distance, the version of you that is uncertain, that is afraid, that has needed people and been let down. That has at times been the one who let others down. That version. And here's the part that changes everything. The story you carry that you are too much or not enough or somehow fundamentally hard to love, that story is not a fact. It is a conclusion drawn from limited evidence under conditions of pain by a version of you that was doing the best they could. It feels like the truth. It has the weight of the truth, but it is not the truth. It is a hypothesis that has never been properly tested, because every time love got close enough to test it, the shield activated and dismantled the experiment before the results could come in. You have been protecting yourself from a verdict that may never have been coming. Let that sit for a moment. Maya, the woman I told you about earlier, eventually understood this about herself. Not all at once, not cleanly. It took time and a particular kind of patience with herself that she had never allowed before. But the shift when it came was not dramatic. It was quiet. She stopped asking why she couldn't love someone the right way, and she started asking what she had decided long ago that love would cost her. That one change in question changed everything that followed. Because the moment you stop treating your guarded heart as a character flaw and start treating it as information about where you were hurt and what you learned and what you are still carrying, everything shifts. You stop trying to fix yourself. You start trying to understand yourself. And understanding, it turns out, is the thing the shield has been waiting for all along. Not someone who will break through your walls. Not the perfect person who somehow bypasses all your patterns. But you looking at yourself with the same patience and compassion you would offer to anyone else you loved. That is where it begins. Let's bring this together. Fear of love is not a flaw. It is a protection built by an intelligent mind in response to real pain. The emotional shield paradox means that the closer love gets, the more the protection activates, not because the love is dangerous, but because closeness itself became associated with danger. Underneath the shield is a private story, the belief that being fully seen will lead to rejection. And that belief, not a lack of love, is the real barrier. The path forward is not about tearing the shield down. It is about understanding why it was built and slowly, gently teaching yourself that you are safe enough to lower it, not with the right person, with yourself first. If this video reached something in you that you have been carrying quietly, if any part of Maya's story felt like your own, then I want you to know that you are not alone in this, not even close. The people who feel this most deeply are often the ones who love most completely once they feel safe enough to do so. The people who feel this most deeply are often the ones who love most completely once they feel safe enough to do so. Every video here is designed to give you one thing, a clearer, kinder understanding of your own mind. So if that matters to you, subscribe. Leave a comment below and tell me, does the emotional shield paradox resonate with you? Have you recognized this pattern in yourself or someone you love? I read every comment, and your reflection may be exactly what someone else needed to hear today. Thank you for spending this time here. It means more than you know. I will see you in the next one.